Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Monday. So good to be with you. Hope you're well. I'm doing great. We have a beautiful day out where I live. I finally got out to do a walk this morning, so I'm feeling really good and really energized. It'd been too hot there for a while to go for a walk. Even I go early. I go like before 5 in the morning. And even at that hour, like 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, it was still hot, almost 90 degrees. So I kind of took a little break, but today was a really pleasant day out. So I got out there. I felt really good. My dog had a good walk too. So I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling great too. Thank you so much for joining me just to kind of start off our week. You know, we had a fantastic class yesterday. So many great people showed up, really great feedback. We were going back and forth. So, just really had a good time. We went over 2.5 hours again. So, believe it or not, those classes do take a lot out of me. So yesterday afternoon, I kind of took some time to myself just to kind of, have some personal time. So now it's a new week, ready to start up, ready to kind of ease into the week. So maybe we can have ourselves a nice little quiet, calm stream to kind of get started for the rest of the week, kind of set the tone for the week. And by the way, guys, I'm also messing around with some new audio settings. I think in my previous videos, the fan in my room was getting picked up a little bit too much. I have an overhead fan in my office, and I think I was getting too much background noise. I believe that I've addressed that with my settings, so you guys let me know if you're hearing anything funny or anything different. But really glad to see people already joining in on both Instagram and on YouTube. So thanks for joining in, guys. As always, I like to start off with my global roll call. So let me know where you're from, the city, state, province that you're checking in from. I always like to hear where people are from. I think it shows us all how global of a community data science is. And I think it also, maybe helps a little bit with the community building and all that, because I really like seeing the community helping each other. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to, just kind of introduce yourselves. And also, the reason I also do the global roll call is to kind of keep the chats inclusive. That way everybody feels like they can participate. You don't have to be some amazing data scientist to participate. You don't have to ask a great question or anything. Just let us know where you're from. Just let us join in the community in a kind of a basic way. So I'm already seeing some people, which is great. I'll give you guys a minute to go ahead and introduce yourselves. I always like to start off with an opening note. I haven't done that in a little bit because so much of my previous opening notes have been letting you know what's coming up, because I really have some great content coming up in August. I really can't wait to share it with all of you. And really, we're already off to a good start with the ISL classes. If you're not aware, Sundays, 1500 GMT, come learn the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. We've been having a great time with that, and there is still 6 more Sundays left. We have 6 more chapters to go. So if you're interested in that, feel free to join in, or you can watch the replays on YouTube. Wow, already seeing some great introductions. So give you guys another minute here if you want to introduce yourself. But for the opening note today, we've had some great discussion on our Discord. Let me bring up our Discord if you're not familiar with that. But there was a great question posted this past weekend on our Discord about EDA and about, should you have a hypothesis already going into EDA? Or said another way, at what point in the data science process should you come up with your hypothesis? And I thought that was just a really insightful question. And it's one of those things where I just do it. I know when to do it. It's just one of those things that you kind of just do by muscle memory, if you will. And I've never really talked about that. And one of the things that you should realize is that EDA is supposed to be part of the time when you develop your hypothesis. You develop your business use cases. You should not, I repeat, not be walking into your EDA process with a hypothesis already in mind. That's a mistake, right? I have this conversation with my clients about letting the data speak to you. You have to do that in the EDA process to kind of help guide your thinking, and more importantly, help guide your questions. EDA should result in a series of questions. So if EDA tells you about your customers, about your sales, about your transactions, about whatever it is, Then the next question is, well, why is it that way? Why are our customers coming from these segments? Why are these sales so strong in this particular month or this particular quarter? Why? You should be, that EDA process should be leading to those questions that eventually lead to business use cases that then lead to hypotheses, right? So again, just a really important concept for you guys to remember, that you're going to have your initial conversations with your stakeholders. They might provide you with some data. You're going to go into EDA with that data, go through a proper process with them, share those results with your stakeholders, visualize those results, and then you should be forming your hypotheses. Prior to that, you should have an open mind, right? You don't know anything other than what the data is telling you. Let the results of the EDA process guide you from there, and guide your thinking, guide those discussions with your stakeholder in terms of, hey, what are the possible business use cases here, right? Because at the end of the day, right, we're developing use cases, we're developing business impact. We're not talking to them in code. We're certainly not talking to them in math formulas, things like that. So I wanted to share that with you. I thought it was just a really insightful question that was asked in the Discord. And if you're not familiar with our Discord, please go ahead and sign up. The link is in my Instagram. We have 54 people signed up now, which is incredible. I just didn't think that many people were interested in Discord. But yeah, we've been having some really great discussions, so hopefully you can join us there. All right, so if you're joining us late, I'm still seeing some people coming in on Instagram. Let us know where you're from. And, I kind of take off, kind of introduce everybody from there. So I already see some people. Let me go ahead and start going through some of those. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Dennis and all. Rohan from Bizag, India. Rohan, you're incredible in how quick you are. You instantly introduce yourself. You've been first like the last 3-4 chats. So good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well out there in India. System, I'm going to come back to your question. System says, yay, morning walks. Yeah, morning walks are good. I've been having a really good time with them. Like I said, it's been too hot recently. I took a little, maybe a week-long break. But yeah, I had a good time out there. Patrick, hey y'all, glad to hear it was cool enough to get out and walk in, Dennis. Yeah, Patrick, thank you. I'm glad too. System says that they are from Texas. What part of Texas? I lived in Dallas for a couple of years, just prior to the pandemic. Let me know what part of Texas, but good to see you checking in. Tommy Flynn is checking in from Canada. What part of Canada? Canada is a big, beautiful country. It's a large country, so you can't just say Canada. Let us know what part. Patrick is checking in from Knoxville, Tennessee. Patrick, I think we have a couple other people from Tennessee that also check in, and I think they were also from Knoxville. So the volunteer state out there. I think Knoxville, is that where the big university is, or is that Memphis? I can't remember. EPM says Edward from Malawi, presently in Port of Spain. Okay, cool. Port of Spain. Where exactly is it? Is that to the south, or let us know, Edward? Glad to see that you're here. Srinath said, hi Dennis, this is Srinath. How was your day? Srinath, thank you so much for asking. I'm doing well, thank you. It's a beautiful day out, so just starting off my Monday, starting off my week in a slow, calm way. So, it's been a good day. Oh, okay, look at that. We have 2 people from Texas now. Sivali says Dallas as well, working from Frisco. Okay, cool. Yeah, I lived in Dallas for a couple of years. I worked in, I worked and I lived in Las Colinas. I lived right across the street from the Toyota Music Factory. So that was a really cool period in my life. I moved to Dallas having never lived there before. I lived in Las Colinas, which is obviously a beautiful part of Dallas, right across the street from the music factory, right after it opened. So it was really convenient to come home from work and just go downstairs, walk across the street, and there were so many good restaurants. We would actually host happy hours at that Brazilian restaurant. I know it's changed names after the pandemic, but we would actually host our happy hours at the Brazilian restaurant. So, I was known for being in a group that had some really good happy hours, so they would go late. But so it was really convenient to kind of, go late to the happy hour and then just stumble home just right across the street. So that was a good time. But Dallas is a great area, so hope you're well out there in Dallas. Although Frisco, I think, is a little bit north of Dallas, right? Lakshmi, good to see you. Lakshmi, I believe that you were in the class yesterday, weren't you? I think you attended just about all of the class, so good to see you again this morning. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so Tommy clarifies that they are from Southern Ontario. Good. That's a beautiful part of Canada, from my understanding. All right, so Patrick is waving the flag for the University of Tennessee as in Knoxville. Go Vols. Okay, so maybe we have other Tennessee fans in here. Okay, Seville says, I'm the same person as Systemi, joining from YouTube. Wonderful. Yeah, by the way, guys, just so you know, I push out on as many streams as possible because I want to share data science with as many people as possible. However, in some cases, especially for the classes or when I do instructional items, Instagram isn't always the greatest format for streams because they show everything in a vertical format, right? If you're on desktop, you can get a wider format, but who uses Instagram on desktop, right? So in those cases, it's really convenient to go from Instagram to YouTube. You know, on YouTube, I'm Data Science with Dennis, and that way you can see a full wide screen, and it's easier for you to follow along when I show code or when I show, you know, other things in the classroom view, right? For chats like today, when it's just a casual, you know, chat, I'm not really going to instruct anything today, then, you know, the Instagram works great. But in the future, go ahead and also, you know, subscribe and notify on YouTube, because you'll get the wider format, and then it'll also tell you when the classes are starting. I always post my classes ahead of time, so you can click on the notify for the class you're interested in, and then that way, I think YouTube sends you an alert like, you know, a couple minutes before everything starts, and that way you'll be reminded when to attend the class. So thank you, Sistema, for watching both on Instagram and on YouTube. Akil says, please talk about AI and data science, please. Hey, slow down. Let's pump the brakes there. We're introducing each other. We're working into a community. The world is not all about AI and data science. You got to have some interests outside the world. We got to get to know each other, okay? Pump the brakes there, my friend. Let us know where you're from. We always build up a community. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. Lakshmi says, yep, they were there for the whole class yesterday. Really good to see you, Lakshmi. I think we had some really great conversations yesterday, really good feedback. If you have more feedback from me this morning, feel free to share it in the chat, but really good to see you. Syed Hamed says, hello, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, Syed. I appreciate you saying that. I think it's good to see you. I know you're a great supporter. Yeah, doing well, thanks. You know, we're off to a good start. I have a feeling it's going to be a good week, you know? And I know it's going to be a good week because on Thursday I have a special guest coming on stream. I've never done it before. This is my first time I'm going to be bringing in a special guest. I'm going to be bringing in a managing director. I have 4 special guests lined up for you guys. I've reached out to my friends. I've called in some favors, and they're going to join. I don't have anybody less than a director joining us. I have nothing but directors and managing directors coming. They're going to sit with us. They're gonna take your questions. We're gonna do it in a live stream. You know, kudos to them for volunteering for a live stream. Live streams are not easy, but they were like, no, Dennis, I want to be live. So bring your questions on Thursday. I have a managing director. He's based in London. An analytics guy, an audit guy. He's a really good thought leader. Has been an executive for a long time. So I'm just really pumped. I guess that's why I'm feeling so good today, because there's so many good things coming up. But Thursday, August 1st, you do not want to miss it. You know, it's brave for them to be willing to do it live, and I just can't thank them enough. It's going to be a good stream. Srinad AJ, thank you for suggesting me to read Mastery by Robert Greene. The book was great, and a lot of it helped. Wonderful, Srinad. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you so much. And you know, maybe it'll encourage some of the people in the chat, because if you have seen my content, or if you have seen my data science roadmap that I have on YouTube, I'm a big fan of this book, and in fact, it's the first step that I suggest for someone that tells me that they want to go into data science. And you'll see this in my shorts and in my replies. First step, go read Mastery by Robert Greene. And by the way, it's not a data science book. It's not even a technical book. It's a book that talks about finding your mastery in life. What is it that you want to dedicate yourself to, right? That book had a massive influence on me. I was doing software development at the time. I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing. Great paycheck. I was paying a lot of bills being a software developer, but I wasn't happy. It wasn't for me, right? I wasn't passionate about it. So reading that book really helped me. So Srinath, I'm glad it helped you. And, maybe it'll encourage more people in the chat to go out and read it. By the way, I love that book. I've given that book as a gift. I'm going to give it to my niece and my nephew because they're in college right now. So I'm going to give it to them. But I've given that book to friends, to family, to my interns. I've given it to my interns. I've given it to people that I've interviewed. Sometimes I remember one candidate, I interviewed them and I thought, you know what? You're a good guy, but data science is not for you. Here, I want to gift you this book, and maybe you'll find something that you can dedicate yourself to. And they told me that it helped them, so that was nice. But yeah, if you guys want to look at that, highly encourage you to read that book. So thank you for that feedback, Shernan. Nazish, my friend. Hi, Dennis. Nazish, were you also in the class yesterday? I know we had a Nazish from YouTube. Are you the same Nazish or a different one? Let me know. But if you were, thanks for coming. You were giving some great comments, great answers. So I hope you're well this morning. I feel like I'm in recovery from that class, because it was such a long class. I mean, we went more than 2.5 hours, and I have to, put in the time to prepare the materials and arrange my battle station and all that. So let me know if you guys are tired too, because, it takes a lot out of you to do a class like that. Joseph, my good friend. Okay, Joseph, aren't you from Tennessee also? Yeah, Joseph, I think you're the other person from Tennessee, right? So is it you and Patrick that are both from Tennessee? Let me know, Joseph. Give me some feedback there. Sistema, I see your question. We're going to come back to that. Arel, give me a second. I'm going to come back to your question, but welcome from Twitch. Arel, if you missed it, we do our global roll call. Let us know the city, state, country that you're from. Tungamac just said done. Okay, that's deep, dude. Savili says, Sistema says, I also switched from software engineering to data science. What a great decision. Yeah, it is a great decision. You know what? It's funny that you mentioned this because right after this finishes, by the way, guys, when I run these streams, after this finishes, I might do some other recording. I might do some recording on my phone with my little selfie stick, or I sit here and do some more recording. And I'm going to record this today. I'm going to record how I made that transition, a mid-career transition into data science from software engineering. I'm not going to make it specific to software engineering, just a general mid-career transition. A lot of people have been asking me that, how did you actually end up in data science? And I've never actually done a full video on that. So I was doing my notes this morning, I give myself like little notes to look at during the video while I'm recording. But I'm actually going to be recording that episode today, and I'm probably going to be releasing it next Monday because I have content already lined up. But yeah, so I will be doing that because I think it's a good story for people to hear because, it can be done, especially from software engineering. That's probably the easiest transition to do. But yeah, glad to hear that you'd made the transition also, Sistema. But yeah, really, I think it's an important story to tell. So I'm going to do a whole long form video on that. I think it'll be fun. Tungamac just says, me too. Sorry, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. Am I missing parts of your chat? Give me some more clarification there, my friend. Nazish says, yes, I was. Okay, so you were there for the whole class, if I remember right. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a good time. Give me some feedback if there's any feedback, that you want to share. But love the fact that you joined and you're still joining us again on Monday. Yeah, Joseph says, yep, they're from Tennessee, in East Tennessee, like Patrick. Okay, cool. That's a really popular place to move to recently, I think, right? A lot of people are moving to Tennessee. Patrick and Joseph, maybe you can connect on Discord. See, I love that. I love that, guys. I love the community connecting with each other, helping each other out. I love it. Love it. Wow. Najee says it was 12:30 a.m. by the time I went to sleep. I woke up feeling happy about having learned through an interesting interaction. Wow, Najee is great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that feedback. Thank you so much for staying with us late. Okay, so that means that it started for you at like 10 p.m., right? Because we went for like 2.5 hours, so that would be 12:30. So wow, that stream started for you at 10 p.m. and you still joined in. Wow, I'm honored. Thanks so much for spending the time with us. Okay, Tungamak says, sorry, meant to say read Mastery. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think everybody should read that book, no matter what career you're in. I think it's a really good book, really influential on my life. So, again, I invite you to read that, Mastery by Robert Greene. I have a link in my Instagram under books. I have a whole highlight just for books, and Mastery is in there. And you know what, guys? I was recently approved for the Amazon Influencer Program, where they give me like a little online store, and I just finished setting that up. I haven't publicized it yet, so I might post that link, and you can also find a link to Mastery by Robert Greene and all the other data science books that have helped me. I also have on there, so I will include that soon. Syed Hamed also says, enjoyed yesterday's class. I didn't get tired, honestly. I enjoyed it a lot. Hey, well, that's good for you. That means you're stronger than I am, because I was tired afterwards. I needed some personal time after that one. Okay, so Joseph shares that he is Data Sloth on Discord. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Joseph, you're already connected with us on Discord. Love it. Okay, looks like we have some spam there. I'm going to skip over that. Okay, guys, so I promised to go over questions. So let me go to questions. So system, did you ask one question or two? Okay, you asked two. Okay, so my question is for today is, what are some data cleaning techniques for demand forecasting? And what are the modifications to data that we should avoid for more accurate predictions? Is this a homework question? We don't help with homework questions. Or at least I don't. This sounds like a great question to post in the Discord, by the way. I'm going to assume that you're being honest and that this isn't a homework question, because it's important to do the homework questions on your own. But my question for today is, what are some data cleaning techniques for demand forecasting? What are the modification data we should avoid for more accurate predictions? It depends, right? I mean, I can't give you one solid answer because every data problem is unique, right? So my first answer to you is it depends. My second answer to you is it necessary? That's a key thing, right? Because people kind of get caught up in data cleaning when they don't realize that it's like, well, wait a minute, like I have enough records, right? I'll tell you guys a story. I'm not going to say who it was. It's a very large company, very, very large company. They have a lot of warehouses across the United States and across the world, actually. So I'm not going to say anything more than that. But they have a lot of warehouses, internationally known company. And in my discussions with them, they were freaking out about the data in their sensors. They have these sensors that tell you like the atmospheric conditions inside a warehouse, like the temperature and the time of day and like the atmospheric pressure, the humidity, stuff like that, right? And they were freaking out about how the sensors had gaps in the data and how it was going to affect their modeling, right? And they kept on telling me about like, oh, this is a massive problem. We got to fix this. We got to address this. They were just like, we got to have data quality issue. We can't have any data quality issues. Got to have accuracy. But they were just going on and on about this until finally, I'm hearing them. I realized, one of the things that happens a lot with my clients when I work with them, and really kind of in most scenarios, is they're too close to the problem, right? They can't step back and look at the big picture. And that's what I'm really good at, right? And that's why it also kind of helps to bring somebody from the outside. But they were also, again, they were kind of doing just like forecasting stuff like we're talking about here in this question. And I ended up asking them, well, like, one, how many sensors do you have? And two, how often do they take measurements? And it turns out that these little sensors were taking measurements 10 times a minute. They were taking measurements 6 times, 6 times a minute, every 10 seconds, right? And they had like literally, probably not thousands, but hundreds of sensors, because the sensors were only were spaced out only like I think it was like 1.5 feet across, 18 inches away from each other. So what is that? That's like half a meter away from each other. So in a big warehouse, you would literally have like hundreds of these sensors, right? If you have like these massive warehouses and they're only 18 inches apart, like in a square, right? Like in a grid. Who cares if you're missing 1 or 2 measurements from any one sensor, right? That's a mountain of data. And most forecasting problems have a mountain of data, right? So Sistema, that's what I would advise you, right? Your first question, it should be to kind of just take a step back and say, well, is this really necessary? Do I really need this for my modeling efforts, right? And again, that goes also beyond forecasting, right? Do you really need 100 million samples for sentiment analysis? Probably not, right? You should be driving your demands for data quality and the amount of data based on your problem. If you have, yesterday in the class, we covered categorical problems, right? Well, it's a big difference in your data needs if you have 2 categories or it's 50 categories. Huge difference, right? Because we talked about balancing your categories, right? So these are the questions that I would ask you prior to really kind of giving you a deep answer, right? Or rather that you should be asking yourself, like, is it really necessary? Why? What am I trying to achieve here? How much do I really need for modeling? In some demand forecasting, some gaps are okay, right? They're not going to like break your model because you have gaps. And then, you're asking about modifications to data. Well, you really won't know that until you get into the modeling, because what features are relevant? How would you know what to modify in the data? You could be modifying features that don't even factor into the model, right? So be careful with that, right? Not to be careful, but these are the questions you should be asking yourself, okay? So let me know if that makes sense. Give me some feedback in the chat, or not just Sistema, but anybody who wants to. But that's my view on it, right? Just keep the big picture in mind. All right. RL Code says, do you know a good free course about data science, AI for devs that would learn the basic concept? Yeah, come on Sundays. We're having a great time learning the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. Let me bring that up in case you guys aren't familiar. It's this book right here. This book is where professional data science begins. Tons of really good data scientists, including myself, have been trained with this book. So yeah, if you want a good free course, I'm doing it on Sundays. If you can't come on Sundays, or you want to review the previous 2 sessions, they're on my YouTube. They're on my YouTube as replays. You're welcome to see them. They're completely free. I just do it because I want to help train a good generation of data scientists or professional data scientists. I think a lot of the other instructional item out there is kind of junky, so I want to contribute in a positive way by putting out, quality instruction. And I'm doing it live because live streams are fun for me. I'm not going to sit here and do it pre-recorded. That's dumb. So if I bring you guys some instructions, some classes, I'm going to do it live, just like this. So feel free to go to my YouTube, Data Science with Dennis, subscribe, notify, and it'll tell you when the classes are starting. Or, like I said, you can look at the replays. So I hope that helps you, RL. All right. Yep, Sistema, I saw it's the same question. Shame. You gave us a work question. I'm going to tell your boss. I'm going to find you on LinkedIn and I'm going to tell your boss, okay? Yeah, so by the way, guys, if you're still joining us late, feel free to introduce yourself, city, state, province, country. You don't have to post some amazing question and introduce yourself. You don't have to be a data scientist to participate. You can just let us know where you're from and then sit back and listen in. Just trying to make everything inclusive. All right, Tommy Flynn says, do you have any advice for a statistician going into industry as a data scientist? Yeah, Tommy, and you can find some of this advice in my book, Your First Year in Data Science. I just published it last week. You guys have made me #1 in new releases on Amazon, so I appreciate that support. I cover this in my book. As far as different industries that are transitioning to data science, I cover software, I cover consultants, and I cover statisticians that are making the transition. And what I would tell you is that you're already going to know a lot of the concepts. It's just going to be by different names or by different approaches, right? If you're a statistician, right? I'm going to assume that you're an advanced or experienced statistician. You already know what hypothesis testing is, right? Well, in data science, we use it too, but we just refer to it as our experiments, right? Or our modeling. A lot of the modeling is based on hypothesis testing. You know z-tests, right? A statistician knows z-tests. Well, in data science, we call it A/B testing, right? Or A/B testing is where that's used. You know type 1, type 2 errors. In data science, we call them false positives and false negatives, right? So it's going to be a very shallow learning curve for you, because as you get into it, you'll be able to say, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just call it something else, right? And then you'll be also able to add to that conversation, because you'll be able to introduce them to some of the concepts that line up in statistics, right? But where you can also really help, Tommy, is a lot of data science teams, including a lot of the teams that I've led, are approached by stakeholders, by other people who are really excited about data science. You know, they see how it can help their business, and they'll come to the team with a problem. Hey, I got this algorithm I want you guys to write. I want you guys to use ChatGPT for this problem that I have. And as they explain the problem, you realize that it's not really a data science problem. It's not really an algorithm. Most of the time, it's just advanced statistics or advanced analytics, right? So that's the role that a statistician can serve on a team, and kind of pick up those extra projects, those extra little, I don't want to say side projects, but those things where, you know, they're good ideas and they can help the business, and the stakeholders are enthusiastic about them. They're just not data science problems, right? So that's where somebody like you, Tommy, can also kind of help a team and say, well, you know, I'm going to join your team. I may not be 100% ready for modeling, but I also know that you guys get a lot of problems that are just advanced analytics or advanced statistics, and I can help with those, right? You can kind of be like the person that they funnel those projects to, right? And that's very valuable, because I get that all the time on the teams I lead, right? You know, the stakeholders come to you and they're very well-meaning, you know, they're good people, they're good projects. They just don't know any better to realize that they're not really data science projects, right? And we still help them, don't get me wrong, I still help them. I've taught plenty of people how to do, you know, different things in Excel that can help them get to an answer, so on and so forth. But that's kind of like, you know, where you can shine, Tommy, where somebody with a statistician background can shine. So I hope that helps. You know, let me know if it does, but you know, that's my advice to you. Praveen says, hello, sir. Hello, Praveen. Good to see you again. I hope you're well. Okay, so Patrick says, hiring question. Love hiring questions. It's been about a week since my recent interview, but I haven't heard back about when the next round is. Is it too soon to follow up about it? I don't want to get ghosted. Okay, so bringing everybody up to speed. Patrick initially had talked to us about his resume, about how maybe he wasn't getting as many callbacks or interview invites as he thought he should be. So he made some changes to his resume, and then that resulted in an interview. And so now we're asking the follow-up here. Okay, so Patrick, first question, and hopefully, I know you're an active participant, so maybe you can give me an answer in the chat. Did you send a thank you note after your interview? And if you remember, we also talked about how you could best serve this team, right? Did you include that in the thank you? Let me know. Give you a minute here to answer. So that's the first question. Did you send a thank you? Waiting on Patrick here. Give him. Okay, so Patrick did send a thank you, which is great. Always send a thank you after an interview. I may not always reply. You know, as a hiring manager, I may not always reply because, you know, what I can tell you is kind of driven by HR policies. But we do get them. So make sure you always send a thank you after an interview. But I didn't. Okay, so Patrick said, I sent a thank you, but I didn't send any project duties. Okay. And I sent it to the hiring manager, not my interviewer. Ooh, okay. So make sure you send the thank you to your interviewer, right? Because they're the ones that are going to provide the feedback. And by the way, always send it right away, within an hour max of the interview, because they have to give their feedback right away to HR, right? Okay, Patrick. So you should have included the ideas in there, but since you didn't, this might actually work in your favor. So yes, it's okay for you to send a follow-up now and include the ideas, right? Because to bring everybody up to speed, we were talking about how Patrick had applied and was interviewed by a startup. And the startup was basically asking about his approach to data science and what could help them, right? So to me, that's a team that's looking for ideas. They know they need AI and data science, they just don't know how to use it. Very common scenario across the world, right? And I've had many clients like that, right? And you have to walk in, and not only do you have to be the tech side, but you also have to be the ideas person, right? You have to be the one to be able to, go in, understand their business, understand their industry, identify some of the potential pain points, and come up with ideas. So those make for excellent follow-ups to interviews, right? So Patrick, if it's been a week, I think it's totally okay. That doesn't sound too soon. Go ahead and send them that follow-up and include those ideas. Here's two to three ideas that I think could help your business, right? So go ahead and do that. I think the timing is just fine on that. But good luck with that, Patrick. I love how you're keeping us updated. Feel free to keep on doing that as you feel comfortable, or you know how to reach me if you want to ask more questions. But I think you're on the right track there. But just make sure you give them the ideas, because that's the part that a company like that is missing. Super common, especially when they're a startup and you're like their first AI hire. They want to know, or data science hire, they want to know that they're bringing in somebody that's going to not just be technically skilled, but going to be able to have some ideas. Okay? Patrick says, thanks, Dennis. Your advice has been amazing. Oh, I appreciate you saying that, my friend. That's very kind of you. Again, just like I tell you guys, I'm just sharing my reality and what my experience has been. That's all I can really do. I think of it as a progression, right? I've read literally thousands of resumes. I've read hundreds of resumes. I've interviewed dozens and dozens of people, maybe close to hundreds. I don't know if I can say hundreds. It's been a lot. And then I've hired, quite a few people, that have worked for me over the years, right? It's kind of like that, like a progression of a triangle that gets smaller and smaller. But I've read a ton of resumes. I've even like worked those tables at like the career fairs, where your company sends you to stand at a table at a career fair. Oh my God, that was so hard, because I remember it was a 3-hour career fair, and there were students at our table all the time. It was me and another guy. Two of us were sent to do this. And in the middle of it, we were just so tired. We switched off, taking bathroom breaks, because we didn't even have time to go to the bathroom. It was just so busy, just students constantly. So I've seen lots of resumes, spoken with a lot of people, interviewed dozens of people. And in some cases, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but in some cases, especially at the larger companies, it's required for another manager to interview you, a person that you will not be reporting to. So I've done that a lot too, where a colleague of mine will come to me and say, hey, Dennis, I got this person. Will you please interview them for me and let me know what you think? Or I have another person who's starting like a new analytics team, same company, but maybe like they're in another country, another division. And they're like, hey, Dennis, I know you're really good at interviewing. Can you interview this person for me? And then I give them my feedback, right? So in that process, I've interviewed people that maybe aren't going to work for me, but I've still gone through interviewing people. So I'm glad this is helping, Patrick. But again, I'm just sharing that experience from doing it for so long, because I have interviewed hundreds of people at this point. Yeah, I think I can say hundreds. I know it's definitely multiple dozens. But yeah, but I'm glad it's helping, Patrick. So Sistema says, thank you. That makes sense a lot. Okay, good, Sistema. I hope that helps you with your demand forecasting projects. Let me make sure I haven't skipped anyone. Yeah, so let me keep going. If I miss your question, I'm sorry, guys. I do have this chat system that's pretty good at letting me know what questions I've answered. But in case I miss something, just let me know. Just let me know, okay? So Haitam El Urat, let us know where you're from, Haitam. I think you're new to our chats. I haven't seen you before. Let us know where you're from. I have seen data engineers become AI engineers, but how can we go the other way? I am an AI engineer and would like to change my career. How can I proceed? Say what? You want to go away from AI engineering? Okay. So my advice to you is Mastery by Robert Greene. We were talking about it earlier, and I don't know if maybe you missed that part of the conversation. You're also new. I don't recognize your name, so maybe you haven't seen my other content. But honestly, that's my advice to you: Mastery by Robert Greene. Because I would ask you if you've done self-reflection to think about, why you want to move away and what you want to move into, right? Because again, the goal with all of my content is to create professional data scientists, people that want to dedicate themselves to the profession, right? But when I see somebody approach me with a similar pattern like this, then I think this is somebody who's just jumping from job to job, right? So I would ask you if you're kind of, you should be taking the time to kind of reflect and see what field you really want to go into. Because because AI engineering is super hot right now, right? Like you should be having no trouble finding jobs or, moving forward in your career. But if you want to move away from that, then how do you know that data engineering is for you, right? You're just going to be in the same position a couple years from now after you figure out that data engineering is not for you. So there's a big benefit to taking the time to reflect, stand back, and say, hey, what do I really want to do with my life? What do I really want to dedicate myself to? Maybe it's not even something in technology, right? You got to be open to those possibilities. Maybe you want to do something else. Maybe like your real passion is to open a restaurant or do something else that, that's not even related to technology. So High Time, I know that's probably an unexpected answer, but I truly believe that you should be doing things because you're passionate about them, right? Not just because you want a job. I've been doing that for the last 10 plus years, and it's brought nothing but good to my life, and also makes the work a lot easier. Like I haven't worked in 10 plus years because everything I've done is just so easy, and it comes to me easy because I'm passionate about it, right? So when you do that, it leads to those opportunities, right? If you're passionate about what you do, it comes across, and then opportunities just kind of reveal themselves to you, right? So that's my advice to you. Mastery by Robert Greene. Praveen says, I'm just starting to learn about data. It's new to me, so I need a few months to understand it better. I hope Sir Dennis can help me learn. You're in the right place, my friend. I love the fact that you're volunteering yourself to say, hey, I'm new here. I'm still learning. That's really important for you to have that awareness and for you to be able to be open to that, right? So I love how you're introducing yourself, how you're open to, guidance and instruction. Keep on coming back. Keep on coming to the Sunday class. The Sunday class, maybe you're not going to understand everything, but it's a good start. It's a good foundation for you to kind of get into data science. Feel free to watch the replays because I do feel like I'm taking it from a level 1 and kind of building people up to it. But you're in the right place. Just keep on coming back, okay? Okay, so Patrick says about the thank yous and the hiring manager. Abdul84 says, I just need confidence. Interview rejections are killing my soul. Looking for a confidence boost. Okay. All right. You know what? I think this is a common thing. So chat, let's have some participation, okay? So if you're in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, whatever platform you're listening to me on, give me a 1 or a 0. 1, do you think hiring and interviewing in data science is hard? Give me a 1. If you think it's easy, give me a 0. All right, 1 for a tough data science interview process, or a 0 for an easy interview process. I'll give you guys a minute here. Give me some responses in chat, guys. Just give me a 1 or a 0. No one's gonna call on you. Just a quick poll, okay? All right, Tommy coming in with a 1, Syed with a 1, Patrick with a 1. Abdul with a 1. Okay, good. No zeros. No zeros so far. I would give it a 0, but that's because hiring is a little bit different at my level. But yeah. Okay, Firebrand J, good to see you, my friend. He also gives a 1. Okay. Okay, good. Abdul, do you see the lesson here? You're not alone, my friend. Nazish also with a 1. You're not alone, my friend. Hiring is hard. You know, in many ways, the hiring process is broken, not just in data science, but in a lot of industries, right? So that's my first advice to you. Don't get discouraged. It's hard for everybody. You know, keep your chin up, keep positive. It's hard for everyone. I mean, look at all the ones in the chat, right? That's 6 people that agreed with you. You're not alone. It's hard, okay? So I hope you take a little bit of solace in that, right? So also realize not every interview is going to go well, right? Just because, you know, something's off or you and the interviewer don't get along or they ask weird questions, that, you know, that's going to happen, right? Not you can't expect every single interview to go perfect. But here's the good news. Interviews rarely go as bad as you think, right? You walk out of there and you're feeling like, oh man, I really trashed that interview. But you'd be surprised. You never do as bad as you think, right? And then another thing I'll tell you is that there's a million reasons why somebody does not get hired, right? The job changes, I lose the funding for the job, there were too many candidates, I have to change the location of the job from one country to another. You know, there's a million reasons why I get internal candidates, right? There's a million reasons why you don't get a job. It's not just the interviewing. So my point to you is that a lot of those things are really out of your control, period. There's nothing you can do about them. So the only thing we can really do is we can focus on the things that are in our control, okay? So Abdul, I want to encourage you to think about what is in your control. Your preparation, right? The way you communicate, the professionalism that you show, the way you present yourself, right? How's your camera? You know, are you dressed well? Are you meeting in person, right? And then your knowledge. Because as I said before, the best way to pass the data scientist interview is to be a data scientist, right? Are you putting in the work on your own study, your own independent work, your own investment in yourself and in the profession, right? That's what's going to help you. That I guarantee you that will come across in the interviews. I did this, you know, and I'm giving you advice because this is what I did. You know, when I made the transition, I took an honest look at my resume and said, this is not the resume of a data scientist, and I don't have the skills of a data scientist, or at least not to the depth I needed. So I took this big chunk of time where I did the study completely on my own. I made the investment. And I must have done, like I said, 50 plus EDAs before having even one interview for data science, before even putting my resume out there as a data scientist. And I took this big chunk of time to do that when no one was paying me. No one was paying me to do that. I wasn't billing any clients for that. I wasn't talking to recruiters, none of that. It was me putting in the work. So the more you do that, the more confidence it will give you. The more confidence it will give you to say, okay, let me go ahead and, you know, start interviewing now because I feel like I've done the work. I can point to studies that I did, right? I've improved my vocabulary. I've improved the way I explain concepts, and that will come across in the interviews, right? So keep your head up, you know, keep going, right? It is tough, right? But stay positive, okay? Just keep on doing the work. Abdul says, this is my first time participating in an online community. Seriously, thanks for the boost of call. You're welcome. And, you know, keep on coming back. I stream on a daily basis. I'll take you back to the classroom camera so you can see. Also, please join our Discord. Lots of questions, lots of like-minded people. A lot of the people in the chat are also Discord members. So, you know, we're going to help each other. Discord is great for the community helping each other, right? So feel free to keep on coming back. And, you know, I think you're in the right place if you want to get real world data science from, you know, from somebody who's been there. That's part of the reason why I started this. A lot of the other stuff you're going to find isn't from people that have been there. I have been there. So keep on coming back. Abdul says, I'm really passionate about this data science thing for real. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Keep on. So if you're passionate on it, that should motivate you to keep on working on your craft, right? Keep on working at it. There is no finish line for learning as a data scientist. There's always something new to learn, a different perspective to consider, so on and so forth, right? So keep on coming back. I think you're in the right place. Just keep on going, okay? Patrick says, Dennis is a fellow Stoic, I see. Where are you seeing that? Or what did I say to trigger that? I don't know. Give me more information there, Patrick. Ruslan Gusainov says, hi, Dennis. Hi, Ruslan. How are you? Let us know where you're from. Give us your city, state, province. We always do a global roll call so people can introduce yourselves. But I think this is my first time seeing you on YouTube, so welcome. Glad you're here. For anybody else that's joining, feel free to introduce yourself. Feel free to let us know where you're from. Again, I try to make everything inclusive here. You don't have to ask some great question or anything. Just let us know where you're from. Ruslan says, I am from Cyprus. Cool. Yep. Cyprus is a beautiful country. I would love to visit there sometime. How are the flights in and out of Cyprus? I mean, where would you fly in there from? Like Dubai, maybe, or London? I wouldn't even know like what's the route to Cyprus. Let me know about that, or maybe Athens. Let me know. Curious about that. Okay, so Joseph says, love the advice, Dennis, when developing the skills by doing the work of a data scientist. Thank you, Thank you, Joseph. I know you've taken that advice to heart. I've seen that in other postings you made, and I think it's important. How would you determine when you are job ready? Yeah, you know what, Joseph, that's a great question. I'm taking a pause because I want to give you a thoughtful answer. I think two things. You know that when I've said, do the work of a data scientist, part of that work is publishing your work. Nobody has to read it. You don't have to develop this amazing audience. You don't have to win the Nobel Prize. You just have to get out there and publish it, right? And get into that habit of putting things out there. I got into a habit where I was putting out an article a week. I committed to doing an article a week. And again, that's just me. I wasn't billing anybody. I wasn't working as a data scientist. It was just me developing my craft. I think, Joseph, for me, a turning point in that was when people started replying. I started getting comments back. Because again, I did this and nobody would reply. I don't know if even some of my early stuff got read. But that doesn't matter. The point is that I was getting into the habit. I was building my skills, right? I was looking at numbers. I was picking models. I was writing code. But I think, Joseph, if I think about it, it's when people started replying. And I remember, and in fact, I remember the article. There was a company, I don't want to say too much, but there was a company that was running an online sweepstakes. And you know how they always post the rules and conditions? I clicked on those rules and conditions, and in those rules, they posted like how many prizes they were giving and so on. The point is that they were posting enough for you as a statistician to be able to come up with the probabilities of winning. And I wrote an entire article about your probabilities of winning and like the expected value and things like that. Because the online sweepstakes required you to do a bunch of tasks and stuff, right? So I posted this and I got replies back on it. And I remember that it was crazy because not only did I get replies, but I was also getting replies from other countries. Like I remember I got a reply from a couple people in Mexico of all things. Like for some reason, like my article via Google and all this other stuff, like it became popular in Mexico and people were replying. And I got other replies from like the US and other parts of the world. So I think that's when I thought, okay, you know what? I might have written like something pretty good here, right? So I think that was a turning point, Joseph, when I went from like I'm publishing and I'm feeling good about this, but nobody's really replying to holy crap, somebody actually read my work and they replied. Like that was pretty cool. But you know what though? Even then, you're still gonna tank some interviews. You're still gonna have terrible interviews. So even after that, I still didn't have great interviews. I remember this one time, I had this interview with a company in Atlanta, And again, I don't want to say too much, but they were doing some really interesting things around signal processing. And I remember that I had like a pre-chat with them, with like the, yeah, like I think I had a talk. I had a pre-chat with like the manager, and that went really well. I was super excited. And then on the day of the interview, the manager or the hiring manager was late, or excuse me, he was sick or something. He was unavailable, and they had to bring in somebody else to interview me. And the guy didn't really know data science. He just heard algorithms. So he kept on asking me questions about like the computer science algorithms, like sorting algorithms and all that stuff. And when he started like that, I was like, you realize that these aren't the algorithms I do, right? Like you're asking, like I told him flat out, you're asking me the wrong algorithms. You're asking computer science algorithms. And I think he was just too embarrassed to admit it. So he was just like a hard charging train, right? I have the 5 questions on my list, so I'm gonna ask the 5 questions no matter what anybody tells me, right? You know those types of people, right? They need to finish the list, right? So I would have these. So even then, at those stages when I felt like I was really like developing myself into a professional data scientist, you're still gonna have bad interviews, right? But you have to go through them. You have to go through them. You're gonna hit and miss on a couple interviews, or swing and a miss on a couple interviews, but that's part of the process. But Joseph, that's where I felt like I was like okay, like my work has meant something. When I was starting to be able to do that, to be able to, one, land the interview, and two, kind of be able to walk myself through those interviews. But they're still not all going to go great. You're still going to have mistakes along the way, right? So Joseph, I hope that helps you. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I felt like I was hitting a turning point in, being able to say, okay, I dedicated myself to this. I went back to school. I did my graduate studies. I took the time to do the research and the work on my own, to be a data scientist. Okay, now I'm landing interviews. Now I'm getting interviews. Okay, that interview didn't go so great, but I learned from it, and I'm going to build on that, right? So that's the answer, Joseph. Thanks for the question. Really good question. Oh, Palki. Oh, Palki. Palki, my friend, you've been here long enough to know that if you really are going to start your data science journey, the first question is Mastery by Robert Greene. And then the second question is to understand the methodology behind data science, right? You shouldn't be jumping to code or to these different techniques that you're talking about, right? That's the tools. That's the tools, and you're the mechanic. You need to work on yourself to know how to use those tools, right? So I want to leave you guys with that impression, right? That algorithms, Python, neural networks, GPUs, all of that is just nice tools sitting inside a big toolbox. That's all they are. But it's you're the mechanic. You have to know how to use those tools, how to pick the tools. That's what you should be working on, right? So you should be working on the methodology of data science, the theory, the approach to it, right? Especially if you're at a very early stage, right? So don't jump into code, jump into, well, when would I use this code, right? So Palki, I think you came to the class yesterday, I think. Keep on coming back. I really think that's my best advice to you, okay? Bala says, hi Dennis, I'm from India. Bala, welcome. I don't think I've seen you before. I think you might be new, so welcome. Patrick says, you set to focus on what is in your control, and that reminded me of that economy control, which is, yeah, you're right, Patrick. I guess I did give myself away there. I've read a couple of the Stoics books. What is it? The Obstacle is the Way. I think most people have read that one. I do definitely identify with some of those tenets. I am, mostly a private person, when I'm away from streaming and things like that. So yeah, I do agree with you, with your assessment there. I guess I did give myself away there. So, but thank you for that. Yep. So I went to Bala's. Ruslan says, what do you think about Kaggle? Kaggle is good. Kaggle is good for getting you to practice, getting you some data sets to work on. But Kaggle in many cases can still kind of suffer from the same problems with classes, academic classes, where everything is just kind of handed to you, right? The data set is given to you, the problem statement is given to you. In some cases, the model is given to you, right? I know Kaggle does have some flexibility in some of the competition about the model, but it doesn't allow you to be as creative as you're going to need to be when you're actually in the real world. And I talk about this in my book, Your First Year in Data Science. You're welcome to buy it on Amazon. I've tried to make it affordable. That's not always the way it's going to be, right? Life, real world data science is not a Kaggle competition. You're going to have to come up with the ideas. You're going to have to chase down the data. You're going to have to go through an appropriate process to find what model to use, right? Kaggle and academic classes don't really let you practice that, right? So Kaggle is good. It's good for you to develop some skills there. Maybe kind of feel how you're rating against other data scientists. There's some value in that. But you just do some work on your own. Go out and find your own articles, your own data, and build up your own projects where you're choosing the model, you're running the experiments, right? It's not always helpful to be in a situation where everything is given to you, right? Like in classes or in Kaggle competitions. So that's my take on them, Ruslan. I realize people have other takes on it, and I'm open to those perspectives. I'm just giving my perspective. Wow, Bala. You're coming in hot here. I have a doubt regarding Bayesian linear regression validation about prior and posterior distribution. Okay. Is this a homework question? We don't help with homework questions, but let me know, give me more information on that. That's quite a question for your first one. How about we just start with you introducing yourself? Let's take it easy here. Joseph says, makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing your experience and story. Yeah, Joseph, like I said, once this is done, I'm going to have some breakfast, and then I might do a video on how I actually became a data scientist. I haven't actually done that video, and I'm thinking of doing it. So I might film that today. Halki, how did the idea of predicting the future from past data come? Why we believe that the previous things will guide us that will happen in the future, while the future can be totally opposite. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. Musha Fear says, hello, sir. Hello, Musha. I don't think I've seen you here before, so let us know where you're from. Okay, if anybody in the chat wants to take a stab at this question, this is quite the question. Why do we believe that the previous things will guide us that will happen in the future? So if anybody wants to tackle that in the chat, feel free to. I'm going to give I usually don't give my answer ahead of time because I don't want to bias the chat, but I don't know how many people in the chat are going to feel comfortable answering this one, Palki. So I'll give you my view, and my view to you is the reminder. And by the way, I have this conversation with my clients all the time. Algorithms are not these thoughtful, individual, sentient beings, okay? Algorithms are math formulas. So algorithms do not give you the correct answer. They give you the most probabilistic answer. You need to burn that into your mind, because there will be many times in your career where an algorithm will be wrong and you will have to explain why it's wrong. And that's the reason, because it only gives you probabilistic answers. Okay? So, is it accurate to say that algorithms are predicting the future? Maybe, maybe not. You could say that they're not predicting the future, they're just giving you a likely answer, a likely view into the future, right? If you want a really fun example of this, by the way, guys, if you want a really fun example, go to OpenAI, open a developer account, get access to the API, and write code for ChatGPT. Write code where you can ask ChatGPT prompts from Python. And you will see that even as talented as OpenAI is, Do you realize that they send back 5 possible answers for every ChatGPT prompt that you send them? Did you guys know that? You can really only see it if it's in the API. In the API, it'll show you the 5 most probable answers. So even a big company like them who has, hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people working for them, even they, tell you, hey, here are the 5 most likely answers, right? So that's one of the things you always have to keep in mind as a data scientist, because you will be burned in the future by an algorithm that's wrong. I guarantee you that'll happen in your career. It'll happen multiple times in your career, right? So keep that in mind, okay? Algorithms don't always give you the answer, they give you the most probabilistic answer. But let's see if anybody else in the chat wants to contribute to that. I'm just giving my view. That's all I'm giving you, okay? But do the OpenAI exercise, it's fun. Uzman Ahmed, Uzman, did you introduce yourself? I don't think I've seen you before. Let us know where you're from. Hello, sir, should I take the IBM data science course to start? Or what should be the start point to get the right skills to start? So Uzman, I'm going to assume that you mean starting in data science. If you want to start in data science, don't think about the tools. IBM Cloud, IBM courses, that's just a tool. What you want to do is you want to build up your theory, your understanding of data science. What is it? Why are you pursuing it, right? So I'll bring this up again. Introduction to Statistical Learning. This is an academic book. This is where professional data science begins. Every Sunday, I'm running a course. I've already done 2 weeks. We have 6 more to go. We've been having a great time. So if you want to come on Sundays, 1500 GMT, I think that's a good start. Or go to YouTube. You can look at my course, at my video, a data science roadmap for students. It's a 20-minute long video. And I will say it again, guys. I issue a coding challenge in that video, and nobody has come back to me with it. All right? In the video, I promise to help people that finish that coding challenge, and nobody has done it. So how serious are you guys about data science? But if you want, that's a pretty good place to start. I share how I would study data science now. So, Uzman, consider that, but build your theory, right? Build your understanding of data science, and then go get the tools. People jump into code, into all this math and all that way too fast. You gotta learn what you're looking for before you go out and work with it, okay? Firebrands Jay says, which one is it? Sorry, I missed it. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Jay. Feel free to clarify, please. Okay, so Joseph says, predicting and by the way, Joseph, thanks for volunteering. I love the courage. Predicting the future from past data comes from observing patterns and then trying to estimate the likelihood of that thing happening. Okay, I'm on board with that. But we got to go back to the person that asked. So Palki, what do you think? Palki, I think Joseph is giving you a fairly reasonable answer, right? So what do you think, Palki? I put Joseph's question up, answer up on the screen there. Oh, Mushafir, thank you so much for participating. Mushafir is also volunteering. I think an algo learns like our minds do, and if it is trained enough, it can make amazing predictions. Maybe. I love the answer, Mushafir. I think I'm a little bit more on board with Joseph's answer. But hey, it's not my question. It's Palki's question. Palki, what do you think? Palki, I hope you're still with us on YouTube. You've gotten an answer from YouTube and from Instagram. Thank you, Mushafir, for participating on Instagram. What do you think, Palki? Let us know if you're still around, Palki, but I think you've gotten some 2 fairly reasonable answers there. Mushafir gave a great answer. I think I'm a little bit more on board with Joseph's answer. What do you think, Palki? Or anybody else wants to volunteer an answer? I love the courage of people that step in and give us an answer like that. It was a tough question. Palki asked a good question. So I love the courage, guys. But let's see if Palki wants to reply. Shuffle says hi again. Hello, Shuffle. I think you're from Rabat. Are you our man in Rabat? Remind me, Shuffle. And then we're also waiting on Palki to give us some feedback on Joseph's and Mushafir's answer. Or again, if you want to volunteer to answer the question earlier about why do we believe that previous things will guide us in what will happen in the future? It's a very, you're asking like a meta question when you're asking that. All right, but it looks like Palki has maybe left the chat. Palki has been with us for more than an hour on the chat, so maybe he stepped away, and that's okay. Okay, Shuffle is Mustafa, our man in Rabat. So good to see you, Shuffle. Oh, Uzman. Uzman, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. You gotta learn the theory before you go and seek the tools for it. You can't decide between Excel or Pandas because you don't know how to use Pandas or how to approach a problem with Pandas. Right? Take the time to learn the theory. I have a data science roadmap for students, and then I also have the classes available. Go to my YouTube, Data Science with Dennis. Go in my history, and the replays are there. And you can see how many people have watched them, and the videos are getting a lot of likes. So it seems like people are really enjoying the content. So start there. Do not start with Excel or Pandas. Those are tools, but you don't know how to use those tools. That's why you're asking this question. Understand the theory of data science and what you're going to do with them. Okay? That will set you up for long-term success. Otherwise, you're just chasing tools, chasing a job, right? Don't do that. Chase data science for the professional approach to it. Okay, guys. Well, it looks like Palki has stepped away, but maybe, Palki is a regular contributor, so maybe in the future we can ask him. Shuffle says, thank you. Yes, exactly. Learn the theory. Oh, yeah. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you agree because that's really what we're doing here. We're creating professional data scientists, not just jumping from job to job because it's the sexy job of the 21st century and all that stuff. Okay. All right, guys. So I think I'm gonna stop the stream here. It's been a great chat. Thank you so much for having a nice chat into the week. Nice little relaxed chat into our Monday. Again, Thursday, August 1st, this Thursday, I'm going to bring in a managing director. I'm calling in favors from all of my old friends to come and talk to you guys. He's really excited to get on a live stream with you, so bring your questions. I'm going to stream every day, but I'm bringing in special guests. Thursday, 1500 GMT, be ready for that. Otherwise, thank you so much, guys. Really had a great chat. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.